Hello, hello, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhera gale, ni hao, chunashumme, washmale, ohaya gunzaimus, guten morgen, hola, boyor, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, suaviam, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTB World and are watching World this morning alongside the one and only Shahzad Hassan Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may probably be at this point of time, all I need to know is that you guys are doing wonderfully well. And this is something which we pray for as well, ladies and gentlemen, because without you, I don't think that World this morning would have achieved such a milestone where we have thousands and hundreds and thousands of followers out there who write to us every single day as well. And I would like to take a moment to actually thank all of you, because without all of you, I don't think that I would have made it so far in life anyways. But not just that, ladies and gentlemen, it comes along a very strong message as well that one single man cannot actually achieve all by himself, because, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go further, travel alongside your friends, take them along as well. But God forbid, if you do not actually have a friend, or probably you do not want to have a lot of people out there, and you have a very individualistic approach to life, that's your choice in the first place. But I'm sorry to say, you won't be going so far. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, since we all know that it's COVID-19, and we have seen that, a lot of people have actually lost their lives. A lot of people out there are actually still suffering from the disease as well. And it's just because of the fact that we were very negligent, ladies and gentlemen, that the government actually kept on saying that we really need to stay back at homes. They kept on saying that we need to wear masks. They kept on saying that we need to sanitize. But we didn't do so. And unfortunately, I was one of them as well, and I had to go through Corona myself. And my mother and father kept on saying that, Putter, kar beja, or probably stay back at home. But I was like, you know what, Mom, since I've been at home for last 2 months, I actually need to step outside. I'm getting a little stressed over here. And then she was like, okay, but there's a Punjabi phrase she said to me. I cannot say it on television, but then the ending of the phrase is kha. So, I think for all of those people who can actually understand, they will know what I'm trying to refer to over here. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I think that at this point of time, we really need to realize that it's Eid al-Azha in another 7 days as well, or 9 days as well. But not just that, ladies and gentlemen, I think that we as Pakistanis really need to promise to ourselves as well. We need to make this promise to ourselves, and then our families, and then to the entire nation, that we will make sure that, this Eid al-Azha, we will actually celebrate or observe this festival in sheer simplicity. And it is important for us to do so that we can actually stop the spread of the COVID-19 as well, ladies and gentlemen. God forbid, if you're, in the first place, I think that the government has actually made sure that everybody opts for, collective kurbani. But if in case you're not actually willing to go for collective kurbani, I think that what you really need to do is that if you're going to Mandi, please make sure that you go just by yourself. You do not have to take your, grandchildren, your children, your son or your daughter's son or whoever. Because over here, when somebody comes back from Hajj, I think the entire family goes to pick that person up, because I don't know, they're not sure whether he's going to come back home or go somewhere else. So please, ladies and gentlemen, it's a humble request, and it's a humble request to please sanitize, maintain social distancing, do not call people over for barbecues and stuff as well. Please make sure that you're, one of those citizens who's actually going to be responsible, and make sure that you're going to stop the spread of COVID-19 by helping other people, by staying back at home, by social distancing, by wearing a mask. And mask, ladies and gentlemen, has actually saved a lot of lives out there as well. For all of those countries who've actually been able to curb with this menace, I think were the countries where nobody was walking outside their homes or houses without a mask, and nobody was allowed. So if we can do so, I think pretty much in probably a month's time or in 2 months' time, inshallah, COVID will be something which we will just say, okay, do you remember that there was COVID? So please, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to achieve that, we really need to work together in harmony, in synchronization as well. So please make sure that you do that. But that is not the only challenge which we are facing these days. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people come from very different backgrounds. Some come from very rural backgrounds, some come from very urban backgrounds as well. But not just that, ladies and gentlemen, education, obviously everybody has got right to that as well, and everybody has got access to that in our country. Not just that we are not focusing on it, but then at the same time, I'm very glad that HEC and other universities actually came up with their own learning management systems, so that they can still impart knowledge, so that they can still impart the kind of duties they were supposed to impart. But then, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, because it was COVID, there were a lot of challenges. Initially, it was very difficult for all the educational institutions to make sure that everybody is getting what they have been paying for. But not just that, ladies and gentlemen, we've made sure that over the course of these past 3 months, we keep on sharing success stories. So, ladies and gentlemen, today, even over here in the studios, we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be the Vice Chancellor of a university, which I will give away in a while. But these gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, has actually reshaped the very arena of education, and they are making sure that they are going to actually be in line or be in sync with all of those institutions across the globe and probably adopt the best practices as well. It wasn't an easy task, but then at the same time, we really need to appreciate for what they have actually done for their own students and for the future of Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very lucky that I have actually been joined by the Vice Chancellor of Sir Syed Case Institute of Technology. He's none other than Mr. Professor Dr. Shafat Bazaz. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum salam. Hope everything is fine with you.
Everything is perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. And in fact, I'm glad that a Vice Chancellor is actually sitting right in front of me, because other than that, when I used to study in my university, every now and then I was called to the VC's office. So I think that's a very different scenario, and I'm going to enjoy it today as well. But sir, to continue with what I was talking about, now sir, with these changing times, we know that that there are a lot of other challenges which people are facing. A lot of people come from rural and urban areas. In rural areas, we know that there's no access to Wi-Fi and whatnot. But in the first place, before we dig into that, what I need to know is that how your university coped up with these challenges which were thrown to you by nature.
Yes, that's very nicely you said this thing, that this was forced to us by nature. I think things change with passage of time. Priorities change with passage of time. We started our institute in 2001, and we were the first in Pakistan to introduce distance learning education at that time. Right. It was easy. We have a lecture in the class. You film that lecture, make a copy, put this into the CD, and send immediately to by TCS or postal things and the CDs with the students on the next day. And then they will follow the course. Then they will do the exam. We'll send people to, we have different centers in Pakistan, and we'll send our instructors there for exams. And then it worked. It worked for about 10 years. Right. And we graduated about 2,000 masters and PhD students through this method, and they are working in both in Pakistan and abroad. But then people realized that no, it's not good. We should go the traditional education. That's the best thing, and let's close this thing.
Yeah, there was this debate.
So that was somewhere in 2012-13. Some other universities also started this initiative, and they were also successful. It was spreading, and unfortunately, we came back to the zero. Traditional.
Yeah.
So story finished there, and suddenly on 19th March 2020, things again changed. Not changed, but forced to change.
Yep.
And I remember that the memorable day of the 19th March, when all of us were sitting and we were doing the normal work, and the next day everything was turned down.
Yep.
And it was a big challenge that we didn't have much infrastructure, much understanding to suddenly change from one method to another method. And we have 600 students, 1,000 students, 1,500 students. And I mean, this was very difficult to perceive how we'll manage that. Yep. So I remember that when we had first meeting with all deans and chairmen and senior faculty members, we said, man, what to do now? The only thing which understood that we have to do that.
Yep.
My senior professors, I have a colleague, Mubashir Sadiq Saab, very nice person. He warned me about 3 weeks back, sir, it is coming and you have to prepare.
Yeah.
And nobody was ready to do that. And I said, Mubashir, now the time has come. Let's do something.
What do we do now?
So we sat down and we seriously said that this has to be done through online.
Yep.
We don't know, that's not a problem. Technology is there. We know how to use the technology. And we started our business on 23rd of March. And
wow.
We didn't remember that 23rd March is holiday.
Yeah, that was
that's
wonderfully said. Yes.
that we forgot that somebody told me, sir, today is holiday. I said, I don't know. So we started that first 2 weeks, we put all classes off.
Yeah.
We devised a method that, okay, we'll video lecture or everything, copy them, put them on some place on internet, ask students to take those lectures, read, see them, and then we'll have some sessions through I don't know what.
Yeah.
With what.
Yeah. Back then we never knew.
So suddenly the things started coming up. Zoom is there, Team is there, this is there, that is there, and we started looking into those. So first 1 month was a nightmare.
Yeah, it must be.
For nightmare for all the teachers to learn, adapt, and then we are used to whiteboards, blackboards, and there's no board at our homes. How to do that? Then people have to reinvent their ways, how to put the camera, this connectivity. So there was a lot of problems, a lot of problems for teachers and for all of us who are managing everything. Suddenly, I mean, we all are sitting together. There are 100 people sitting together, and suddenly everybody disappeared.
Yep.
For me, as head of the organization, it was difficult to see where is my staff now.
Exactly.
I'm alone now.
Yeah.
So, but then we started understanding the things, and alhamdulillah, in 5 weeks' time, we managed to deliver.
And to get over the challenges.
But then the second challenge came that students were not ready.
All right.
These poor students had no idea how to get the lectures, how there was a connectivity problem,
Yes.
and then if at all you get the lectures, what to do with them,
Yep.
how to read them, how to see them, how to get the things from there, and when we have a question answer session, how to manage that. So there was a chaos for the students. And then what we did that...
Or probably they took advantage of the opportunity and they're like, okay, you know, if we can miss it, let's miss it. You know, if I would have been a student, in these times, I think I would have never taken a class. Probably I would have put a picture in front of the camera and would be like, okay, sir, I'm here, present.
We had those cases as well.
Wow, wonderful.
So, but we all enjoy, but I mean, as a teacher, we always enjoy these things with the students.
Yeah.
So we then started grooming them. They were scared of exams. Said, okay, there will be no exam. Just read, just watch the videos. And so alhamdulillah, we managed that as well. And I'm thankful to all my students and especially parents. There was a big burden to them. Because I see now at my own house also, you must be having this thing that our wives and mothers used to have alone, and they were used to doing something at home, and suddenly their 3 children are there and they are getting education, and everybody's panicked what to do with them. So there was a social impact also on our society. Parents didn't know how to manage that.
Exactly.
And they are also, because I do remember I was taking a class, I said, where are these 3 kids? I said, mother has sent them to bazaar for to buy something. For God's sake, this is not the time to send. So these are the issues which we faced, and alhamdulillah. But I also always praise my students and their parents that they took this challenge and they adapted themselves. And alhamdulillah, we managed. We were very lucky. We were one of the few universities who terminated their spring semester well in time.
Wow.
We had given 12 June time and we finished on 12 June.
Mashallah.
But then the second nightmare started, but that was the exams.
Yeah. MCQs only.
MCQs and no, there's a... But during this period, I am thankful to Chairman HEC, and he intervened and he called, he was well connected with all the VCs of the universities. And they started giving us instructions.
And they extended a lot of help.
I will say a lot of help in terms of information, because information was required that what to do in this in this time. We were doing things, but that information came from there, and that really helped, because we had to make some SOPs, we had to make some rules, and we had to make some, especially examination was very difficult. So after 12th of June, the second nightmare started, the examination. We thought that it might take 2 or 3 weeks, but it lasted for 5 weeks.
All right.
Because it was very difficult for teachers to get those type of question papers which you give to anyone, to tell him to go anywhere,
And just
meet
do it.
with anyone and solve it, you will not be able to solve it.
Yeah, exactly. This is something which I've heard from other students as well, that no matter what you do, you cannot even cheat with those exams.
So at the end of the day, Alhamdulillah, we made sure that no student will suffer F grades because of this pandemic. We help everyone, and HEC also instructed us that we should be caring all these students. We gave them some extra time, and they also managed to cope up with this. But at the end of the day, when I got the feedback from students nowadays, we went all that nightmare with a hard time. But students said, I learned more than I used to learn when we used to have a traditional way of coming in class. The reason is that in this more method, teacher is now more conscious because he sees I'm being watched by everyone.
Yeah.
So I have to be very careful.
People can record you, do whatever, yeah.
So that was there. And then we really, I tell you, we improved our examinations method.
Alhamdulillah. And sir, I'm going to come back to this as well. I will share a brief story of my own as well. Because these days, so I'm doing another show on PTV Sports as well with Rashid Latif and Shoaib Akhtar and Dr. Numan Niaz. So what we do is that we actually record that show from home. So, and we do it on Zoom. So I'm very sorry, but what happens is that every time when I'm about to go in my room and record my show, I actually have to make an announcement to everybody, please do not call me, because if you're going to call me, there will be hindrance and there will be a technical glitch within my recording. And imagine, believe me, that's the exact time when everybody is going to call me as well. And I'm like, okay, sir, I will actually have to come back. So these are the challenges. But then at the same time, sir, now what I feel or what I've seen all over the world and how the times are changing, I think everything is changing. We have seen that people have actually moved on to machines which are more interactive and probably are more they have those features where you can utilize them while you're teaching online. So you do not actually need a blackboard, you just need to write on your tab and it will appear on everybody else's screen. When we speak about the students, obviously it's their parents' responsibility to provide them with Wi-Fi or laptops or whatsoever. But for teachers, it's the university's responsibility to provide them with all of that basic stuff which will actually be required or used by them while they will be disseminating online classes. So have you done such a thing where you've actually provided your teachers with laptops or probably the latest tablets with which they can actually deliver their lectures in a much easier way and a comfortable way? Are we going into that direction? Because this pretty much looks the future of education now. And you were very right that online education has actually had a difference, because I've seen a 2-year-old girl or a 3-year-old girl who can actually read now. And this is something which I'm a witness to. Because of the online and the teacher is not in the front, so they have to do everything by themselves now. So I think that they're coping up well, but then let's come back to the teacher's aspect in the first place, that the teacher trainings with the changing times. What do you think Case University has done so far?
What we, first thing which we did in Case Institute, that we gave liberty to all teachers that do experiments.
All right.
Because till the time you don't give them flexibility to learn, how they are going to learn, right? So I'm thankful to all my colleagues. They did mistakes. They didn't do blunders.
Okay.
But because why didn't they do the blunders? Because we were coordinated with each other. We were working as a team, teaching each other that do this, do that. So we did mistakes, but we learned a lot from them.
Exactly.
The first thing I always, I talk to my other colleagues in other universities, they said, sir, what you are doing? I said, give liberty to your teacher.
Yes,
Please
exactly.
give liberty and don't blame them, because teacher thinks that my VC is also watching me, my boss is also watching. Nobody is watching you, you are doing wonderful work. So this is the first thing which we have to give confidence to our teacher, otherwise it will not work.
Exactly.
So second thing, yes, they need gadgets. We all learn. I do remember when I was taking my second class from my home, my son was sleeping in the room, and suddenly he said, "Baba, what do you want?" I said, "Yeah, I have a problem. I can't put the paper on the. I don't have the blackboard."
Exactly.
He got up. He fixed the camera for me. I mean, everybody's learning from.
And everybody needs to help everyone.
Help everyone.
Exactly.
So my son knew something. I told my colleagues, you also do this thing. Okay, let's do like this.
Yeah.
So it's not a rocket science.
Exactly.
It's not a big thing. even a child can teach you what to do, your students can teach you what to do.
Yes.
So we have to learn technology. Technology is very simple,
Exactly.
very straightforward. Unfortunately, I do recall when I came back from abroad in 2006, I was used to all these technologies. But alhamdulillah, in last 14 years, those skills
Everything
vanished away
was
from me
gone, yeah.
because of the environment. But
Yeah.
now I feel very happy. I used to, I am having a professional life the same way, the way I used to have in Canada. Right?
Alhamdulillah.
So this means that we are coming up. So this is the first thing, that we have to give confidence to our teachers, instructors, and they have to learn technology. Then these things come that
We have to facilitate them.
Facilitate them. Yes, they need. It's not only laptops. They need special gadgets where they can write and everything is seen on the whiteboard.
Exactly.
So there are special gadgets. Each costs from 20,000 to 100,000 rupees.
Exactly.
So people normally think, because we universities have been hearing all this stuff that you are taking fee and you are not spending the money.
Yeah.
No, online education is expensive.
Exactly.
I think I cannot say a percentage wise how much, but I will say 5 to 10 times expensive than the normal education.
All right.
Because we don't have, right now, we don't have the infrastructure for this.
Exactly.
Right now, we are doing everything with our laptops, traditional laptops. They are not fast, and we don't have fast internet connections. For example, previously in old ages, we used to have internet at university, 100 MB or more than that. Now we have to provide that MBs to people in the homes.
Yes.
And this is our responsibility to provide all those facilities to teachers.
Exactly.
So that is, there is a cost for that, and people have to realize maybe that cost is first time, or maybe there is a recurring cost.
Exactly.
But remember, online is not
an
free.
easy job to do. But sir, you know, I think that I'm actually in love with whatever you've said, and I'm actually in love with the kind of vice chancellor you are. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I've never ever come across a vice chancellor who actually smiles while sharing the challenges he's actually coped up with, and his entire team. And you know, this is the true definition of a team leader, where he's actually not taking the entire credit to himself. In fact, he kept on mentioning about his team and his teachers and how they really need to be relaxed, and how the university needs to invest in the even the Wi-Fi you know, kind of devices as well. So I think that this is a great initiative where you're going to provide comfort to your teachers. Obviously, they will provide you with something better, with something bolder as well, where kids will be able to learn a little more as well. But sir, thank you very much for being with us and sharing your story. I think that the universities over here in Pakistan are doing wonderfully well, and I've always had faith in HEC because of the fact that the kind of initiatives they take and the kind of help they've extended in such testing times. But not just that. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that we really need to shed light on what Federal Board is doing, because HEC is actually the successor of Federal Board. Ladies and gentlemen, this is something which we really need to understand. But what did they do? You know, they made sure that somebody who appeared in 8th grade examinations, okay, he's into 9th grade. Somebody who appeared in 10th grade examination, okay, he's in 11th grade. Somebody appeared in, you know, second year examination, he's ready to go to university. I think that this wasn't a very fair deal. But even then, you know, congratulations to all of those students who weren't really thinking that they're going to pass integration or probably theorems or whatsoever your problem was. But please, I think that the Federal Board actually needs to look into the changing times as well. How is something which we want to discuss with somebody who's actually working on children's education in rural areas. How can we do that? How can we change the landscape of education over in Pakistan, which is required? And due diligence is required, ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to do it after a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Passion for polo will be the highest on the world's highest polo ground. Shandur invites visitors to experience a traditional polo tournament between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The tournament is held on Shandur Pass, the highest polo ground in the world, at 3,700 meters above sea level. The first time a polo tournament took place on the Shandur Pass was in 1936. It is a place unique and exotic in itself, surrounded by some of the most spectacular mountain scenery in the world. The event marks the annual rivalry between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The polo tournament has some added attractions for the visitors: trout fishing at the nearby streams and lakes, and a festival of folk dances and music of northern Pakistan. The event in itself offers a fascinating insight into the lifestyle of the people of this region. Their culture and indigenous customs are a delight to behold for the visitors. Crystal clear lakes, snow-covered mountains, alpine flowers, and vast stretches of green grass are added attractions. Fairs and festivals of Pakistan.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For everybody who just got tuned into PTV World, you watching World this morning alongside Shahzad Khan. Earlier, ladies and gentlemen, today we were actually in conversation. In fact, I think it was my lucky day that I was in conversation with the Vice Chancellor, Sir Saeed Case Institute of Technology, Professor Dr. Shafat Bazaz as well, where we were talking about challenges posed by COVID-19 towards the education sector and how we can actually reshape the entire landscape of how we are learning and how we are changing perspectives and how we are coping up with all of these challenges, how we are training our teachers, how we are facilitating them, how we are actually giving a little amount of space to all of those students who might not be able to do very well within the exams as well. And I think that this support system was required, and it can only come from a person like Mr. Professor Dr. Shafat Bazaz as well, who actually is a team guy as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one thing which I have observed for myself as well. Not just that, I forgot to mention to him as well that even within his university, I've actually hosted a couple of shows, and that too were paid ones as well. I got paid. But not just that, that's my profession. But now, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to what we are talking about today. As I said that, Federal Board's predecessor or successor is actually HEC. And I don't see that Federal Board is actually working in the direction where everybody else is going. And God forbid, if the COVID-19 is going to prevail, I think that a lot of students who are actually going to our public institutions will have a lot of trouble once they will enter the universities. Because I still remember, Alhamdulillah, I was one of those people who actually went to Barrier College and all of those good institutions where we learned English, where we knew how to communicate and whatnot. But I have seen those students within my first semester of the university where people couldn't even actually pull a presentation by themselves, and they really need letters to write on and then read it right in front of the entire class. But not just that, ladies and gentlemen, I think at the same time, the early years are very pivotal for a kid's development and nourishment as well. But so I think what we need to do is we need to put more focus on that. Not that my daughter goes to this school, but I think that they've done a wonderful job as well. Roots Millennium, that's what I'm talking about. Online classes, the year is finished. My daughter's graduated to another year, which I feel that, okay, I made a good decision that my daughter's actually going to a good school. But what about all of those schools who cannot impart knowledge or education in these times just because of the fact that they lack infrastructure? Where are those principals? Where are those teachers? Are they even thinking about that, that education is so important for kids that they cannot actually miss out even on a month's time? And look where we are, that we are actually promoting for all of those students who've actually appeared in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, or subsequently 12th grade examination as well. But over here, ladies and gentlemen, today I actually have a success story with us who's actually working and making sure that there will be schools in rural areas and that the kids will actually get modern education as well. And not just that, at times for free too as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by an educationist and entrepreneur who's none other than Miss Amna Umar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. You actually happen to be the principal of Momentous School as well, which is located in Quera. First of all, what I need to know is, why do you think that there was a need for you to build a school in Quera, and how do you think was the response of the people in the vicinity?
Okay. So I'm from Karachi.
Okay.
So, and my job experience is Rawalpindi, Islamabad school. So when I shifted in 2018 Quera, I did job 2018 to 19 as a vice principal, and I observed that there is lack of education, and they are not using different type of methodologies, technology. So I trained few teachers, and then I thought that I have to open my school in my town. That's the reason I took initiative, and I opened my own school in my town for kids.
And how many kids are actually studying in your school right now?
51 students.
51 students
yes,
in a year's
because
time.
Recently I
Which is
opened my
great. But
school.
you're working towards rural education as well. You're making sure that, wherever there's no internet, wherever there's no good teaching facility, that you're going to provide that facility. How far do you think you are into that mission, and when do you think that you will be able to achieve it?
Firstly, I faced a lot of problems and challenges over here, but from parents.
From parents? Your
yes.
parents?
No, from my children parents, the students' parents. So I started different type of strategies from them. Like I opened a YouTube channel. I made a YouTube channel, StreamYard, and Zoom meeting app, and I trained my parents and my teachers to guide them so they can learn education system. So education process will continue with children. So we're using online system like learning management system. So our students are taking education.
All right. Okay, that's great. But just before you, since we were in conversation with the Vice Chancellor of Sir Syed Case Institute of Technology, he said that online education is expensive.
Yes.
Now, when we're opting for a methodology which is expensive for even universities, how are you going to make sure that that for all of those people within the rural areas are going to afford that kind of educational setup? I don't see that it is a viable setup, but how do you make it viable for them?
Sir, we have a lot of different kind of people over here. Like few are labor and mediocre family and well-off families. So we are facing a lot of problems over here. So it's very costly. Like internet system, they don't have internet facilities, and they don't have resources, laptop, mobiles. If they have a mobile, so they have 4 kids. So all are in problem.
What does a cell phone have to do with the number of kids? I mean, obviously one person is going to have one cell phone.
Yes, definitely.
But what is it with the kids that they cannot not use at the same time?
Yes,
That's
sir.
what you're saying. And I think that mobile is actually such a private device that it should actually be given to kids because they run to their mothers.
Exactly.
We cannot risk that. So we really need to have another methodology for that. Whatever it is, what are you thinking about? On what lines have you worked out this entire method, and how do you think that you're going to impart knowledge to all of those kids? And now the one more important aspect over here is that you yourself said that that there are different segments of the society from which, or different walks of life from which the kids come to your school. A few of them are very well off, that's what you said. A few of them are just like me, middle class. A few of them belong to the labor class as well.
Yes, sir.
How are you making sure that that the education system which you're providing to everybody out there is inclusive, that everybody is going to get the same level of education, that everybody is going to get the same standard of education, and that there will be no discrimination amongst the rich or the poor?
Like television, government as it's a one-sided learning. But if we have same curriculum in Pakistan, so all students can learn.
Which curriculum do you think is the best for students to learn?
Skill-based curriculum.
Skill-based. So now, when we speak about Momentous School, which has opened up recently in Quera as well, what kind of skill-based knowledge is being imparted to students over there?
Like we have.
For example, I just got into your school, I'm in the 1st grade. What skill are you going to teach me?
Like students are very creative, no? They have to do different types of things. So robotic lab is the main feature of Momentous School's Quera campus.
Robotic lab for a kid of first grade?
Yes, grade 1 to 5.
And they're going to make robots?
Yes, science, technology, engineering, arts and maths, they are learning over there. And we have integrated books.
Wow.
Yes, so they can learn and they can explore their creativity.
And what is the kind of response you get from all of those kids? You know, probably somebody made a robotic arm. The first grade kid came in, broke it. You know, something like that. How are you going to protect all of that as well? Because that equipment is expensive.
Yes.
If you have a robotic lab and the kind of
Yes,
explanation
very
you're giving.
expensive kits, and we have.
And it can be harmful for kids as well to be near those machines. So how are you protecting them as well?
We have different parts of kits, and a teacher was there,
Yeah.
and they guide them and teach them.
Okay, wonderful. Now let's move on to teachers. Okay, so the kind of skill set you're imparting to them, I think, is something which is required, which actually reminded me that last time when I went to Case University, the kids were actually making drones back then, if I am correct. Yes, which I think I am, because I've seen a few models as well, but then later on I think that the department moved on somewhere else as well. But now let's come down to teachers. Even over here in universities, it is so hard to find a good professor or a teacher who can teach robotics.
Exactly.
How are you doing it on such a level where they are supposed to teach their students? Obviously, it might not be very advanced, but what kind of knowledge are they imparting, and do you think that they're skilled or they are that learner to do so as well?
We have to find the science and maths expert teacher for that purpose, and we our head office team, and they are teaching RoboMia, they are teaching teachers and training, so
Okay.
they can learn from training sessions.
Yeah. And so
And
how
we
many
have,
how many times in a year does the teacher need to go under that training program? Or
They
through
will
that?
come, and teacher will also go
Okay.
to the head office.
And then how do you guys assess whether the teacher knows or not? Because
Training.
teaching robotics to kids from first grade till 10th grade or 9th grade or 8th grade, I think is a difficult job for teachers.
We have proper manuals, videos, and our head office team is working because they are educationists.
Alright.
So it's very easy for us here.
Very nice, wonderfully well. But there's one more thing, ladies and gentlemen, which I really need to appreciate, because this is a thought process which actually came from Amna as well. So over here, HEC actually initiated and NUST actually initiated with the incubation centers as well, but she's actually working for an incubation center, or she's actually made an incubation center for secondary education and primary education as well. Now, please make us understand, how is this incubation center going to work, and are we looking at kids as young as 5 years or 6 years old having their own businesses and being entrepreneurs? Is that what we're looking at?
No.
Okay, so what is the main purpose of that incubation center?
They can explore their creativity. Like it's not like they have to do by themselves.
Okay.
So they can learn practically from that.
Alright.
And we have to teach them different methodologies, like 21st century education.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that they are entrepreneur from grade 1 to 5, because their childhood is a most important part for
Yeah.
me, and that's.
I think we're missing out on something over here, because, ladies and gentlemen, just very recently we have seen that kids who've actually had YouTube channels that they're giving away toy reviews are millionaires in these times as well. And I think that it is very important for all of us to make sure that, for all of those kids who are growing up, we tell them that once you grow up, you really need to create opportunities rather to look for one. I think that this is one thing which I'm always very negative about. In fact, not negative is not the right word to use, but there is something I complained to my parents that, ever since I was growing up, the only thing you kept on saying was that if you're not going to study well, you're not going to get a job. I think that everybody needs to change their mindset, rather than telling them or probably mentoring them in a way where they actually have to look for a job. What we need to do is that we need to tell them or guide them that, son or daughter, what you need to do is that you need to create more opportunities for other people, which definitely is going to come from entrepreneurship, ladies and gentlemen. And if there's a 5-year-old kid, there was this case study where this 5-year-old kid, he actually makes mac muffins, and he actually just delivered them all over the world, all over the place, and he's a millionaire just at the age of 7 or 8. So why not that? I think that this is the kind of knowledge which we need these days as well, ladies and gentlemen. We really need to let our kids do whatever they want to do, because this cell phone which I have in my hand, my kid can actually use it better than me. So why not give them that opportunity and facilitate them in a very positive way so that they can do something wonderful just at the age of 7, 8, 9 or 10. Why not? Why do they have to be 25 first, then get married and settled in life? Please, I think that we need to change this very mindset as well, and we need to change the priorities in these days and times, because ladies and gentlemen, if we have to compete internationally under the leader of Prime Minister Imran Khan Sahab, who I think is a visionary and has done a wonderful job for our country, we really need to change our own mindsets as well. But thank you very much, Amna, for being with us. It was lovely to be in conversation with you, and I think that the vision you have is something which everybody needs to follow, but at the same time I think everybody needs a little more preparation to actually do so, or pull such a thing out as well. Because ladies and gentlemen, imagine that if we have an incubation center for kids as young as 9 years old, and they come in with their business ideas, may it be, you know, probably manufacturing toys, may it be making donuts and supplying to the rest of the world, may it be baking cakes, may it be anything. I think that we really need to provide our kids with these platforms that they will do wonderful jobs. Because just understand, as a matter of fact, what I think is that kids do not take that kind of pressure of failure which an elderly like me will take. I think that this is the time where we take this opportunity and make sure that we build a platform for all of those people who are young, vibrant, and they think out of the box. And us elderly people, what we need to do is put their idea together and make it work for them and assist them. I think that this is the way forward as well, but I think that all the education institutes in such times have done a wonderful job. Federal board, it's a humble request. I think that the landscape or the entire thing, the arena is changing. You know, when we speak about education, I think it's about time that our public institutions even invest in the infrastructure which will actually facilitate and help us to be at the top of the line and make sure that we are actually going to impart knowledge in such times as well, rather than just promoting kids. Because eventually, if in first year or second year the kid is actually going to be asked about integration and he's not studied it in 9th or 10th grade as well, I think he's going to fail again. So we do not want that for our kids to fail or probably repeat. So please make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that we put in a collective effort for the development of our future, which belongs to Pakistan. Look after yourselves. Please write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of World This Morning. So on your television screens, on YouTube, it's World This Morning. On Twitter, it's World This Morning without a G. On Dailymotion, it's World This Morning. The fabulous repeat is going to be at 5 past midnight tonight. Till the next time, look after yourselves. It's Friday. Remember me, my entire team in your prayers, not just my team, entire Muslim Ummah, and you know, everybody who's out there, everybody who's near and dear to you. Stay blessed. Good morning.